Alright, so we're going to deal with percent change today, and there's a couple of terms that you need to know as we go through these notes. The percent change is the ratio of the amount of change to the original amount. Percent increase is whenever the amount goes up over the original amount, so we see an increase, and percent decrease is when the amount goes down and decreases from the original amount. So to find the percent increase or decrease, we need to find the amount of change. We need to subtract those two values. That's how we're going to find the amount of change. And then we will divide the amount of change by the original value. This is really important that we always divide by the original value. And once you do that, then you're going to multiply the answer by 100, which is the same thing as moving the decimal 2 places to the right. This is kind of a review of what we did yesterday. And we're always going to round the answer to the nearest whole number. So let's look at a couple of examples here that are already kind of done for you. So if I give you from 24 to 32, well, we can already see that we've increased from 24 to 32. So we know, first off, that it's going to be, for this one, there's two options, increase or decrease, and we know this one is going to be an increase. To find out how much it increased, we subtract these two numbers. You always will put the bigger number on top because we do not want to have a negative number here. So the difference between 32 and 24 is 8. And then we're going to divide by the original number, which was 24. We're not dividing by 32 here. When you divide those two numbers, and I'm okay with you using a calculator, you get 0.33. And then now we move the decimal 2 places to the left, so from 0.33 we move it 2 places over to get 33%. So we know that it's going to be a 33% increase. Next problem, from 96 to 35, again we subtract and we'll get 61. Then we're going to divide by what we started with. We can tell because it says from 96, so we're going to divide by 96. You get a really long decimal here. You don't have to write everything down. I write them out a couple and then I put some dots, so 0.635416, and divide that amount of change by the original amount. That's what we did to get that 0.63516. Now we move the decimal 2 places to get 63.5416, as you'll see that amount right there, and then we're going to round to the nearest whole percent, which gives us 64%. And we can tell, since we moved from 96 to 35, that it is a 64% decrease. And you're going to see on the assignment today that I'm okay with you just writing I or D. So that would be our answer for that one. Okay, let's take a look at a couple more here. So we have from 67 to 112, so we're going to start by putting the bigger number on top. So we're going to put, sorry about that, we're going to put 112 on top and 67 on bottom, and I'm going to subtract these two numbers. So I have to borrow from that 1, and I borrow from that 1 2, so I'm going to get 45 is my remainder that's left over, and then I'm going to take 45 and I'm going to divide that by 67, because that's the original amount that I started with. I don't want to divide by 112. So 45 divided by 45 divided by 67, I'm using my calculator right now to figure that out. You can do the same with yours. It would be 0.6716. I always write 4 places out. You have to write at least 3 places because we're going to be rounding to this place value right here once we move the decimal. So then the next step is to move the decimal 2 places over. Show you that. We're going to go 2 places over, so we're going to end up with 67.16%. And then now I need to round to the nearest whole percent, so I look at this one place right here. That's where I said you had to take it out to, which is that same place value right there. And that's going to cause the 7 to stay the same, so our answer would be 67%, and we can tell that it is an increase because we went from 67 to 112. So your answer is a 67% increase. All right, and going over the next problem, we're going to subtract 153 and 109. And I'm going to borrow from that 5 to make it a 4. So I have 44 left. And then 44 is going to be divided by 153, because that's the original one that I started with. So 44 divided by 153. And that will give me, when I divide those, 0.2875. And then now I need to move my decimal 2 places again. So I'm going to get 28.75, and then I need to move, that's my percent, so I need to round to the nearest whole percent, so that would be 29% is your answer for that one. Okay, and then we're going to look at 2 story problems here in just a second. So we're going to move on to the next slide. All right, and for these, it says Edgewood track team had 85 students on the track team last year, but this year it's changed to 117, so we're going to subtract those 2 numbers. And you can use a calculator for this, but you shouldn't really need one as much. So the difference between those two is 32, and we're going to take 32 and we're going to divide that by the original amount we started with, which is 85. We're not going to divide by 117. And when I divide those 2 numbers, 32 divided by 85 gives me 0.3764. 0.3764. I move my decimal place over 2 places, so that's going to give me 37.64%. And then now I need to round to my nearest whole percent, which would be 38%, because that 6 is going to cause that 7 to round up. So it's a 38% increase, because we went from 85 to 117. And then the final problem, Bloomington Walmart had 457 PlayStations in 2006 when the console was first released. Now in 2013 they only stock 115, so we need to subtract 457 and 115. Since the other 2 are just years, we're not going to use those. We're not looking for the change in years. The difference between those 2 numbers is 342. I'm going to take 342 and I'm going to divide it by 457. When I do that, I get 0.7483. 0.7483. I move my decimal place 2 places to get 74.83%. And then I round that to my nearest whole percent. That 8 is going to cause that 4 to round up to give me 75%, and it is a decrease because it's gone down in the amount that they carry at the store. So that's all the problems that you're going to do, and hopefully this prepares you for today's assignment.